brands. They're all around us. No matter where you go shopping, you'll see a brand of something out there. Now, where did brands come about? Brands started actually as far back as Egyptian times. If you can imagine, in order to identify steer and cattle, they had to take a branding iron and mark the hindquarters of different kinds of beef and cattle. And in order to know exactly where that cattle belonged to, that's where the brand came about. And they're still doing it today around the world. So let's talk a little bit about brands and how they impact us. You see brands with food, you see brands with sporting activities, you see brands with organizations like Toastmasters. So let's talk a little bit about food. Let's start with America. The Hershey's chocolate bar. Now you notice the wrapping, plain brown wrapping with the silver logo, or I should say the lettering. Now one thing about brands is that when you see this brand on the shelf, you know exactly what you are going to expect. Now some of you in the UK, you may be familiar with the Curly Whirly bar. Now I do go to New Zealand quite a bit, and I have to admit, I have to pick up a stash of the Curly Whirly bars. Now you notice the font on this. The Curly Whirly bar has this whimsical font in a white wrapper with purple, and then the lettering is rotating between red, blue, and purple. And so when you look at this, you think, wow, that's going to be fun. And of course, one of my favorites. Thank you, Swiss and Switzerland people, because the Toblerone bar came from Bern, Switzerland. And one of the things you'll notice about the Toblerone bar is that you have not only the color, the yellow color of the box, and the red lettering, but it also has this logo. Now many of you may not have noticed the logo, but it is the Matterhorn, which is also in Switzerland. But this is the best part. Look at the shape of the box. It's triangular. So when you see one of these Toblerone bars, you know that it's going to be representative of this company. So brands, logos, and taglines, they're all integrated together as part of an identity. And we were talking a little bit about stereotypes and cultural understanding. I've had a chance to go around the world, and one of the best ways to get to know people is through their food. Another thing I noticed too is sports. If you think about brands, logos, and taglines, you have them all over the place with sports. Now I have to admit, my favorite, the San Francisco 49ers. I have to admit, I'm a California girl, born and raised in San Francisco, and I have seen this logo for many decades. Not going to tell you my age, sorry. But if you take a look at the San Francisco logo, the red, the gold around, red and gold are our colors. So when you see a 49ers fan, you know you're going to have red and gold everywhere. Now what about if you're in Australia? Now some of you may be familiar with the State of Origin. State of Origin is a rugby tournament that's played, and they have two colors, the maroons and the blues. And I guess you can tell who I cheer for. And of course, sometimes entire countries have logos, taglines, and colors. So take a look. For those of you who are in South America, you know what I'm talking about. Argentina. And yes, Lionel Messi is one of my favorite soccer players. So why is this important? We had mentioned about how cultural understanding, that people who are in Australia, for example, if you know that they're a blues fan, that they're probably from New South Wales. Now, we're talking a little bit about how brands are important for sports and for food. What about for organizations? Now, some people have asked, why did I pick this topic? And part of it has to do with my company is 1,000 Cranes. Now, the problem I had was that it's based on the whole legend of folding 1,000 origami cranes. Now, I couldn't trademark this, so I had to come up with something else. So I had an artist come up with a logo, and just like the other logos that I showed you, I had to come up with a special font, I had to come up with the colors, and a tagline. My tagline is Believe, Plan, Fly. And of course, this is Toastmasters TV, so I've got to talk about Toastmasters, right? So you probably have seen all the logos that are around the studio, well, of course, Toastmasters has their logo as well. And this helps us identify each other. You know that the colors of this dark blue, this maroon, this gold, it's all in the Toastmasters brand manual. So why is this important? When you're talking to various people around the world, and we're trying to have a better cross-cultural understanding, we try to make sure that all of the colors, the images that we have are inclusive. And we want to make sure that we are, as an organization, a place where leaders are made. Now, I know I'm running out of time. In fact, oh my gosh, I got a game to go see. I'm gonna wear my colors, and I better go grab my favorite chocolate bar. We'll see you later.